I'm in this building and when I'm among this group and singing the winter song, it drags home that a lot of what makes a life, a lot of what comprises what you think of as your life in progress or beginning or ending, are moments, pockets of time you can recall at a moment's notice and be somewhere else, in a different skin, in a different moment in time that meant something to you. And I'm going to talk a bit about my tie to this group in terms of those moments. And the first one I want to bring up was when I first got to the university as a young first year, as many of us, as all of us are, excited and confused, a bit adrift. There was a moment in time. I was at Newcomb Hall, nervous, anxious, looking for my place. And I came across the Virginia Glee Club, and I had my first encounter with the entity that we all know as the Dove. I saw people much like me, a pastiche of various experiences and people of all walks come together and create a sound and a feeling that went beyond just music, but what I knew as the Dove, what I felt in that moment, it wasn't just joy. It was a combination of all the things that music can arouse in one's soul. It was a combination of joy and pain, ennui, melancholy, and a wonderful, so it's very hard to describe. And I sat there before I even auditioned for the group, awash in an emotional movement that I couldn't quite describe. And the one thing I will say about that moment in time in that group, I could not have envied them more. I tried out for the group. As a first year, I was happily accepted, and I was drawn into the milieu of the Virginia music scene in very short order. And within only a few months, I got my introduction to the second element that's very, very endemic of what the university is and should be, and that's the concept of student self-governance. As we all know, the university is unique in many, many ways, but one of those ways is that the university takes things that are hollowed, that are important, that mean something, and they grant full control. They give the keys to the kingdom to students, kids of 17, 18, 19, 20, to do with them as they wish, to succeed, to fail, to climb, to fall. It is something so risky and yet so wonderful about the university. And what it drags home is that these institutions we are all part of are fragile. There is no guaranteed funding line of the Glee Club. There is no safety net. There is no secure basis for which to fall on when we do in fact fall. It is for us to learn and shape and evolve with. And any property, any element of this university is no more and no less than what the current membership makes it to be. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And as is the nature of fragility, nothing is guaranteed. I was also a part for a time of something called the Corks and Curls, the yearbook project, which has now since ceased to exist. Fragility is very real. There was a time with the Glee Club this hit home. I was a first year and I had to deal with the realities of budget lines and plans and endowments and begging for rehearsal space, and we'd have ups and downs. We had a group called Chanticleer sing with us first year. It was wonderful, but we lost our shirts on it. And there was moments in time that this professionalism, this sudden presence of high stakes, of logistics, made me think that perhaps the lesson was that professionalism meant that the Dove might in fact go away. When you got involved in the business of the group for good or for bad, perhaps the element of enjoyment that was the mark of the amateur was in fact sacrificed. And part of me thought that was a shame, but another part of me thought this was simply a lesson that I would glean from Jefferson's University of the nature of professionalism. It didn't change how much I cared about the group, obviously, but it was something that I noted for a time. And then my second year, something happened. I'm not sure how much of a part of it is lore, but the group that year took a vote, of which I was a voting member, and we made a sudden, unplanned change in our conductor. And we had to go on a spring roll, essentially with no leadership, by ourselves, of ourselves, with no adults in the room, no guidance, no promises, no safety net. And there was a moment in time we would show up in town to be told that our appearances had been canceled. We'd show up other places and realize we hadn't paid for hotel blocks, we had to go into debt on credit cards to simply have somewhere to stay. And it seemed for a moment in time that this experiment we had been given had in fact failed. There was moments in time that I could have promised you that the Glee Club was about to go away. And we were rehearsing in Chicago one day. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, I stepped off the stage. And I just walked backstage for a while, and it was a combination of shame and sadness and just appreciation for what we had created, but yet sadness for what might go away. And I walked back. Two other brothers I had back there were with me as well. And our director at the time, who was a 24-year-old grad student named Craig Fennell, began to conduct us through something called Crucifixus. And we made a sound that night that echoed, it resonated. And there was a moment in time backstage that the dove suddenly reappeared. It was this creation that we had made of ourselves, of our voices. And it filled me again with that same combination of beauty and joy and praise and sadness. And I saw the other people back there, my brothers and so on, who were in the same place I was, and our eyes locked. We said no words, but it became very apparent that we would get out of this. It was going to be okay. Because the same creative spark, the same commitment to song, the same gifts that had made this sound possible would in fact steer us right. The dove would guide us through. We knew for a second that the group would not just survive, but we would thrive, and the group did. We lived on, we improved, we got better, we expanded. The dove saw things through. So in the years since then, one thing that's hit me on various times, there's nothing in life that's truly meaningful or beautiful that isn't fragile. There are no relationships or experiences that aren't on some level temporary. I've had ups and downs in my life, as everyone does. I've sat at hospital beds with people I love, marking time with them in moments and not years. And I've had the weight of that feeling of sadness that happens when one faces the inevitable, temporary state of the things in life that mean the most to us. And in each of those moments in time, when it threatens to be too much, I listen and I hear the dove. Because as all of us, I'm sure, can share, music to us is more than just a hobby. It's more than something we like listening to, it's more than what we're into. It is a part of us, like it or not. It'll be a part of us our entire lives. And it means not just what sounds good, it has a meaning much deeper. It means everything good and bad and eternal and temporary about life. It means all that life can be, the ups and the downs. And whenever I have those doubts whenever I'm scared, whenever I'm sad. The dove is in fact there. So, before I came down, I was speaking to other people who could not be here. And we all talked about our time at the university. And according to all evidence, I was a computer science major at the university, from what I'm told. And apparently, third year, I took a course called Differential Equations, and I got an A. I could not tell you what differential equations is. Living up in my head, I got an A in the class, I don't know what's going on. What I can tell you, what I can recreate in perfect detail, are the moments I spent in and of this group. The time I spent at Newcomb Hall as an 18-year-old first year, the times I've spent in the basement of the clubhouse, realizing we were broke. The buses, afraid of what would happen if we had no place to sleep that night. Those moments are a part of me. They walk with me. They're a reminder. They are who I am, more than anything else from this university. What I will say to the current group, on behalf of the university, on behalf of all the alums, the Virginia Glee Club is you. Nothing more, nothing less. It belongs to you. It is your property. It is yours to succeed or fail with. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We will succeed as you succeed. And I know we will succeed. And the one thing I will say is there will be times, if there haven't been already, when it seems a bit much, when the pressure gets to you, when you get afraid, when you get scared, when the weight of the Jeffersonian mission seems to push down a little too hard, and you lose a bit of faith. That is part of the experience, it's part of the beauty, not just of the school, but of life. Because the Glee Club, like all wonderful things in this world, is fragile. That's what makes it great. And when those moments come, when you feel discouraged or scared, when you feel at your lowest point, there are alumni out there living our own journeys who could not envy you more. It is an honor to be here with you tonight. It is an honor to have been in this experiment. It's an honor to be part of the passing wheel of time, knowing that of the limited time we have, the limited energy we have, I was part of this institution. It's a privilege, it's something I'll carry with me